One and all gathered here, my humble pranams to revered correspondent Amba, Director Amba, and Secretary Amba, and most respected Madam Principal and Controller of Examinations, ma'am, and learned professors who have gathered here, and my dear colleague friends. I deem it a great pleasure to share a very small or a little knowledge I have earned in this domain. The topic given to me is quality assurance benchmarking in higher education. I want to share a little of my experience in preparing for this PowerPoint presentation. I have attended an FDP last year in St. Joseph's College, Trichy, virtually, in which Professor Joseph Durairaj, Dean of English and Foreign Languages, Gandhigram Rural University, addressed on the topic benchmarking in higher education. A profound scholar of high accord, he had given a beautiful lecture or delivered a downpour from which I had tried to grab certain important information, because sir has spoken for about more than 45 minutes to 55 minutes. The time allotted to me in this particular slot is only half an hour. I will try to be just full with the assignment given to me by our Madam Principal. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this assignment. And I should share one more information. When I had been listening to all the sessions, I was really admiring Dr. Shankari, who spoke on institutional benchmarking of best practices. And this PPT itself, what I have prepared, it is an example of benchmarking, I would say. I think all the learned professors would second my thought at the end of my presentation. With these few words, let me start to present my presentation on quality assurance benchmarking in higher education. Am I audible better, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Am I audible,
Yes,
ma'am?
ma'am.
Yes. Please, if I'm not audible, please let me know, because I could not see myself. I could see only the presentation of mine. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, please. See, I have broadly classified my topic into 3 broad categories. Namely, the first set as higher education in India. What is quality in higher education? And what is quality assurance in higher education? And to narrow down, what is quality assurance practices in higher education institutions? This is the first part. And in the second category, the hero of this particular topic is what is benchmarking? Why benchmarking? What for is benchmarking? Is it necessary? Are we supposed to crave behind? Ma'am, I request the participants to mute their mic because it is disturbing. Please, ma'am. Yes, thank you. And benchmarking and higher education, and how to set up a benchmarking exercise. And in the third category, what benchmarks can you or me or can anyone as an academician in the higher education institution we have to set up for to enhance the quality? And what are the benefits of benchmarking? And I've got a small conclusion to having analyzed all these information. May I seek attention of the learned professors to my first slide of the first category. We all know higher education, it is the backbone of any society. Without higher education, nobody can leap higher in their career. It is the quality of higher education that decides the quality of human resources in a country. Higher education, as we see today, we all are just plunging ourselves into the system of NAC. It is a complex system which encompasses or it facilitates teaching, research, and extension. And the higher education system in India particularly, it envisages, means it picturizes, it visualizes, it envisions national development, global competitiveness, ethical values, promote use of technology day to day, and create an atmosphere towards quest for excellence. Now, what is first quality in higher education? Quality, it is not an act, it is a habit, says great philosopher Aristotle. See, if you see Merriam-Webster dictionary for the term quality, that goes on and on as an adjective. It is important to raise this question at the beginning of any discussion when we spell out this term quality or quality assurance, particularly in the domain of higher education. At the first look, the answer might be that either even when there are n number of etymological derivations to the root of the Latin word, or so to say, we don't really know what quality is, or that it can be many different things. When we see the NAC manual, when you see the term, particularly the definitions or the etymological definition, whatever are given to the word or the term quality, it goes on and on. It is often the case that this fundamental question is omitted, especially in more technical discussions or rushed policy debates, because it is that sensitive term. So I would say the reason is to do with the fact that the answer is not entirely straightforward, and there is no unified definition or single measure for quality. Quality lies in the eyes of the beholder, says somebody. It is beauty, or it is a kind of, or something of that sort. It goes on and on. Now, quality in higher education, it is deduced. I have sought so many things for this presentation, and in this NAC manual or in the NAC website, we have a number of books for quality assurance, or if you go to the glossary, there are so many terms with respect to quality. When they define, they give quality in itself. It may encompass These many things, the deduction, after having discussed so many terms or so many research on the term quality, they say it is excellence. Quality means excellence. In the view of academia, quality means client satisfaction. Who are ultimately our clients? The view of students and the employers. Of course, it is value added also. And value for money. Ultimately, this is the thing. When we see the employers or the students or the taxpayers or the governments, only when there is quality, there is a result. It is known through the outcome. It is known through the result, or it is known through the standard of our students. That is the ultimate objective. Whatever we produce, that is the ultimate objective. And it is fitness for purpose. The view of external assessors aiming for improvement, and it's a threshold in the view of accreditors. So I believe this is given in the NAC manual itself, and thanks for NAC manual. And in narrowing down my topic, quality assurance in higher education. Having discussed about higher education, quality assurance, everything seems to be interrelated or interwoven. So the development of a definition quality or a common understanding of quality for a specific national higher education context. It might be challenging at the beginning, not it might be, it is. But I tell you, it will be crucial, for it will influence the overall design and give a meaning to the whole quality assurance system. See, along with autonomy, quality and quality assurance, these two are like two rails, or important elements of a higher education system. I think learned professors will second this thought. And quality assurance has two distinct wings broadly: internal quality assurance and external quality assurance. And internal quality assurance, it usually covers the quality of teaching and learning. And here comes the proper, this figure or this particular diagram will enable us to understand the quality assurance practice or the system what we make now. In internal quality assurance, it is the self-analysis, quality plan, monitoring and evaluation, so many things. And in external quality assurance. Now, as I've been mentioning today, benchmarking is the center point. It is the pivot, so to say, of this discussion. There comes. In external quality assurance, we have this benchmarking. And it's followed by audit, assessment, review, etc. Ultimately, see all these accreditation, accountability, everything, be it internal or external, ultimately this quality assurance system, it runs to continuous improvement. You will never know how you improve, but you keep on be improving. There ends the first broad classification of my presentation. And the second broad classification in the external quality assurance comes this benchmarking. We are narrowing down to what is benchmarking. Madam Dr. Shankari had been in detail discussing about the best practices and benchmarking, and she has spoken about the term and the history and how it is being made use of, everything in detail in her presentation. And I thought it would be a redundancy error if I brood on that. And so, taking a different angle, and of course, I cannot define on my own. These are all the things which I have again taken from NAC website and the presentation of Madam Shankari and Dr. Joseph Durairaj. So it is benchmarking is about bridging the gap between where we are and where we want to be. See, when Professor he was discussing, I have borrowed so many thoughts from his presentation, and I seek really I seek his. I should have sought his permission, and I seek courtesy. See, he said this particular term benchmarking was used by geographers and geologists. And what reference or what relevance it has with reference to higher education? See, when you use for business or industry or anything else, as we have been discussing about the history of benchmarking to the United States of America Xerox company, that is okay. What relevance it has in our domain, particularly in higher education institution. See, it is bridging the gap between where we are and where we want to be. Are we contented with where we are? Or do we want to really elevate ourselves? Then the answer is, if yes, yes, you should have benchmarking. An example of good performance that serves as a standard for comparison of one's performance. It is a technique in which an institution measures its performance against the best of others, says NAC. It is a standard, it is a technique, it is a measure. It is a structured or a systematic process for measuring and comparing. For what sake? For learning from the practice of others, who are the leaders or pioneers in the field, or with whom we can have legitimate comparisons. And in the second category, what is benchmarking? A Zen-like management riddle asks, how does a fish know it is wet? I was really astonished when I was seeing this question. How does a fish know it is wet? The fish spends all its life in water and knows no other condition. The riddle probes, what really does it mean? How people who grow accustomed to operating in certain ways. See, I know only this. I will go like a saddled and a bridled horse. There are people amongst us. It is for them to know that there are other approaches, perhaps better ways. We never knew that we all can meet virtually in this way an year before. Am I right, ma'am? I think the learned professors would second me. They would never. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, definitely we agree.
Yes. Yeah. Perhaps we have better ways of performing the same task. Then we have to understand that this would be better. This involves so much of advantages too. There was a professor when I was listening to a e-content development lecture. He said, see, when I travel from Mumbai to Salem, the flight charges and the board and lodging facility, whatever you give. And at a time, this hall can accommodate only maximum 3,000 people. Now see, there are no charges. By sitting in my drawing room, there are so many lakh of people who can listen. Even if they miss, doesn't matter. It is recorded. They can retrieve and see, as I have seen Dr. Joseph Doraira's a lecture after a year. There are so many advantages of performing the same task what we have been doing already in a better way. So benchmarking, it is a tool for achieving idea and